In the nation's conscience, that of 7-year-old Twetwe's rape on school grounds has been described as an example of systemic failure and institutional indifference. The outrage has been loud and widespread, with organisations like NotInMyName calling for urgent justice, accountability and long-term reform of child protection systems. Joining me now to discuss this is the Secretary-General of NotInMyName, Themba Masango. Themba, good to speak to you this morning. Now, this case is horrifying, to say the least. But why do you believe it's taken public outrage for action to even begin? What does this say about institutional culture?
Good morning, and yes, indeed, this is an atrocious crime that has happened where a place of safety like a school has become a crime scene. And I want to say that as NotInMyName, we are standing and echoing the voice of many South Africans who are saying that justice needs to be served and needs to be served venomously and very quickly, because, as the old saying goes, that if justice is delayed, justice is denied. And the nonchalant way that the school, particularly the principal, has handled this issue has a lot to be desired, because why would it have to come to such a point that the department has to threaten to close down a school in order for them to just cooperate with powers that be? And then secondly, the issue of coming out of the police being so slow, and the parents themselves are members of the South African police services, and they themselves aren't necessarily getting the help that they need from the powers that be. So definitely it says that a lot needs to happen for South Africans, especially the vulnerable, to see justice.
Well, two interesting issues came out from this, Themba, and one is that the school, as you allege, has not cooperated to the point that to the point of satisfaction. But what's worrisome is that the parents of Twetwe are both members of the South African Police Service, right? Now, we need to understand, what are the challenges that parents whose children go under similar situations who aren't policemen or policewomen suffering? I mean, why would it take so long for the police themselves to deal with the issue?
I mean, exactly the point that we're mentioning, that it seems as though that justice for the vulnerable in South Africa is something that is very far-fetched and very difficult to attain. If the parents of Twetwe are police officers and they themselves are struggling, I mean, you may have heard her in one of the interviews that she gave, that when she even went to the police she was not really getting the necessary help until she had to go to a brigadier or station commander, and still their help was coming in drips and drabs. And that's why we've always called on the South African police and the law enforcement chain to get the necessary training and understanding of what it means to have rape, and especially a rape of a child, and how to sensitively and urgently deal with these issues. Because the more you have a situation where time goes by and no help has been given, and you have to actually get activists on the ground and start hashtags around social media to get assistance, it really kills any glimmer of hope that South Africans have in their legal system. And it ends up getting into a situation where people will start wanting to, deal with issues in their own way. And there you start having a flare-up of vigilantism, and you don't want that in South Africa. However, it is very, very frustrating for people, particularly family members and close friends, to just watch and sit by and say that we are waiting for police to help. Coming to the school as well, we are saying that every single staff member, from the gardener right through to the principal, needs to be vetted, to be checked, their backgrounds, criminal backgrounds, just like anybody who would deal with sensitive information. Here you are dealing with the most precious thing in people's lives, and that's their children. So they should be vetted and questioned. Furthermore, they should also be trained as to how to deal with issues like these when they do come up, so that there can be satisfactory response to the parents and obviously the community at large.
Themba, every quarter we get an analysis of gender-based violence statistics, and those numbers are anything between 13 and 14,000 per quarter. And the statistics suggest that this is only a fraction of the actual numbers of gender-based violence that take place across the country. Is this a case, is this reaction of SAPS in this particular area in Madedele a situation of us normalizing these levels, these sort of crimes? I mean, the fact that they didn't jump up and do something, could it be attributed to, well, it's another one in the myriad of statistics that we're running into every day? Because one would imagine that the thought of a 7-year-old, an innocent little girl being abused, would push everybody, not even just the station commander, but every single individual, including the community and the school, to rush and act and try and do something about it.
100%. And as you're correctly saying, that stat of 13 to 14,000 per quarter, that's what's actually reported, and it's also very watered down. The reality, you're looking at over 25,000. And the unfortunate and really sad thing is that heinous crimes such as gender-based violence and mutilation of children and kidnapping have almost become a norm in South Africa, where we are numb to the reaction that happens around it. And it is a real sad state of affairs, where in South Africa we are told that almost every 3 to 5 seconds a woman is raped, that our femicide rate is 5.1 times higher than anywhere in the world. And this atrocious, sinister crimes that are happening to children seem to be almost a norm, especially in far-flung areas. And it becomes a worrisome factor where police don't act and stand up and really are not just in shock, but in rage to make sure that the perpetrator is found. And that's why we're saying that this issue needs to be dealt very, very quickly. It needs to be the perpetrator needs to be tracked down, and they need to be venomously judged and given the harshest of sentences, so that some form of confidence can be restored, for people. And the longer this takes, the longer the child is reminded that, I have been violated, and secondary trauma continues to happen, and not knowing whether the perpetrator will ever find their place behind bars or not.
Now, in coming up with justice and accountability, facts are absolutely critical. Just how much work have you, as NotInMyName, done to establish what the facts on the ground actually are? Because there's been a lot of finger pointing, a lot of back and forth about he said, she said. But ultimately, what puts people behind bars is the facts on the ground.
100%. And you're completely right there that, because it's such an emotive, crime, and such a heinous crime that has happened, a lot of emotions have come up. And then also in the midst of that, you get a lot of, other perpetrators who take chances. You'll find, there's over 6 to 7 petitions, and some of them are asking for money. We want to ask that please do not give money to any unverified person or grouping that is claiming to be fighting for justice for this family. 2, indeed, the facts need to be, found, and that is why we are saying that there has to be a fine combing of questioning of every single staff member and the driver and the taxi uncle that was bringing Kwekwe home and taking her back to school. So the police need to carefully and meticulously question everybody, from top to bottom. And then also we want to urge the community, as we've been doing again, to say, please, if anybody has got some sort of information, please give it to the necessary powers that be. And we are urging that the police then deal with this thing, quickly but meticulously as well, so that the children's rights are kept and those that are questioned can be able to answer and cooperate. We are asking that the school and particularly the principal, once again, to cooperate with law enforcement so that we can just get to the bottom of the issue. And I believe that if it's done meticulously and clearly, we'll be then able to find leads and ultimately the capturing of the perpetrator.
Themba, I don't know about meticulous anymore. It's been almost 6 months since it happened, but obviously encouraging the various authorities to look into that issue. Appreciate your time.